We basically have three types of situations here that we want to model. So in question number 3, we want to sketch the quadratic function with the following characteristics, where a, b, and c are all positive. Okay, well if c is positive, that means my initial value is above the horizontal axis. If b is positive, that means initially I have a positive slope. If a is positive, that means my slope is gradually getting bigger as the inputs increase from one to the next. So I kind of get something that looks like this. In the next one, and then we also want to invent an equation of that form. So really it could be anything you'd like. It could be y equals 2x squared plus 3x plus 5. Now this thing will obviously affect how the choice of c will obviously affect how high we start. The choice of b will affect how rapidly it initially goes up, and the choice of a will show how rapidly the rates of change are increasing. So this is the rough sketch of it, but depending on what these values are, it could look slightly like it's increasing faster, like maybe it's increasing slower. It all kind of depends on these different values, or it could start at a different place. In the fourth one, c is positive, b is negative, and a is negative. So c is positive means we start up here. B is negative, so we have initially a negative rate of change. A is negative, well that means my rate of change is decreasing. So if I already have a negative rate of change, from 1 to 2 the input or the slope will be more negative. From 2 to 3 the slope will be even more negative, and hence we get pretty much the same shape but pointing the other direction. Again, depending on where you start or how fast or slow this thing drops, it could just be different variations of the same curve. So B, we'll kind of pick one. It doesn't really matter. Y equals negative 3x squared minus 2x plus 7. And finally, we want to pick one where A is negative, B is positive, C is negative. So if C is negative, that means we start down below the horizontal axis, somewhere right there. B is positive, that means initially I have a positive slope. Okay, well now A is negative, so that means the slope is starting to decrease. So the slope isn't quite as steep. It isn't quite as steep the next time around. Eventually it kind of flattens out, and if we keep subtracting from a zero slope, now the slopes are going to become larger and larger negatives. So we start to get something that looks a little like this. Again, these selections of A, B, and C could have it start in a different place. Maybe your graph looks more like this, or it looks more like that. I mean, these just are all dependent on where you start and how big of a value of A, B, and C you choose. So let's just say mine is negative 3x squared plus 7x minus 10.